Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where two long-distance friends bounce media recommendations, all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And I'm a snakeskin jacket, baby.
And this week, we boot up your favorite mind imprisonment software once again with 2003's The Matrix Reloaded. Before we eat a slice of cake so good we bust, remember you can help us on Mortified, the Legitimacy Quest by smashing that like and subscribe on YouTube, leaving us a review on iTunes, or telling a friend about the show. Leyla.
Aaron.
If deja vu is a glitch in The Matrix, then what is two people doing a podcast about the sequel to The Matrix?
I do believe it's a laughable offense.
I mean, it's certainly anticlimactic, which is unfortunately how watching this movie felt.
But not eating that cake?
No, but the cake was extremely climactic for no discernible reason.
I like that you are so demure that in your notes, it was, did that cake just make her ovulate?
I've never seen a woman come, so.
No. I'm so sorry.
I just assume that's what that looks like. So we introduced you to the Matrix last time. This is this is where the Matrix starts getting controversial because did you like this movie?
Is liking a qualifier that we could even apply to this movie?
I mean, I did like a lot of it.
I feel academic about it.
Okay. Can you describe what that means?
I don't know. I don't think I have personal feelings about the movie The Matrix Reloaded. I think I looked at it like a bug in a jar.
Say more.
So when I was in high school, we read the Bible as like a piece of literature because so much of literary canon references the Bible. I was in an honors lit class, so we read the Bible. Not all of it, but selected books, the ones that get referenced the most. And I felt like that watching this.
Like you're like, oh, that's what that's from?
Yes.
Even more than the original Matrix?
No, but the original Matrix I liked, and so there was like a different aura of enjoyment that really weaved it all together for me. This was pure academia.
Okay. Interesting. Well,
Yes.
In that case, do you want to do our plot summary real quick and explain to listeners what happened in this movie?
I suppose. So, 6 months after the events of The Matrix, the crew of the Nebuchadnezzar returns to Zion, which is the last human city on Earth. Commander Locke, who is in charge of the defense of Zion, has ordered all ships to return to help protect against an imminent attack from the machines. Meanwhile, Neo is having a bit of a crisis because he keeps having dreams where Trinity dies. And Agent Smith has apparently been quote-unquote freed by Neo, and he goes and possesses a human, physically bringing himself into Zion. Do I just keep going, or do you have something to say about the opening here?
I mean, we can talk briefly about the opening.
Okay.
It's I think the opening is I think this movie gets weaker as it goes on. I don't know, that's not true. I really like some of the action sequences in the middle. But I think the opening is a good place to start because we do get like a continuation of the stuff from the Matrix, right? We get Neo doing his Superman thing. We get to see all the cool shit. We get to see like the agents that are upgraded with new software. We get to see Zion for the first time. We see there's all these references to the Animatrix where there's like apparently there's a kid that got freed by Neo in the Animatrix who shows up. He has like a little, in I think it's Oblivion where you get like a little elf man who follows you after you win in the arena and he becomes your like biggest fan.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
That's that kid that shows up for Neo, and he's just like, "Oh, hey Neo, what's going on? Oh, you're so cool. Thank you for freeing me." And Neo is just like, "Man, I am trying to bone down. Can you leave me alone?" I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of interesting stuff there. But it does start to plod as the film goes on. I mean, yeah. Do you have any thoughts about this opening?
So many. So, first of all, can we talk about the very explicit parallels to Superman here? Because not only. So, okay. They literally say in the movie, as he's like. Because Neo can fly now, by the way. So Neo's like bracing for flight at some point, and one of the other Nebuchadnezzar crew folk are like, oh, he's off doing his Superman thing. So there's a direct parallel, and then he kind of crouches down. The Matrix wobbles a little bit, and he launches himself Superman style into the sky and goes to fly in the most 2000s CGI sequence I've ever seen in my life. And then there's like a score riff that is blatantly inspired by the John Williams Superman theme, or not the theme, but John Williams Superman score, which is, I did a little bit of research into this. I couldn't find a interview with the, what is his name? The composer, Don Davis, but he does share an agent with John Williams, so they are in like a similar oeuvre. And, Neo's off like doing a superhero thing. Does this feel like, how do we feel here? Because it feels like, how do I word this? It feels like the people who like The Matrix can't find Superman relatable because Superman is too hot and nice, and so they need baby Keanu Reeves, who is 90 pounds soaking wet, to project onto, but Keanu Reeves functionally does the same thing. How do we feel about that?
Huh. When you say people who like The Matrix, do you mean like internet nerds? Is that what
Yeah.
you're getting at?
Yeah, do the dweebs just not find Superman relatable? So they have to project onto skinny, beautiful, wonderful Keanu Reeves.
I mean, I think you could certainly do that read. I mean, I think this comes back to our conversation about like what the purpose of the one narratives are, right? Like Superman is very much a, Christ figure in that he has come from the heavens to save the world with his superpowers. He cannot die in a way that matters.
Like a mushroom.
Right, exactly, like mushrooms. And I mean, I think that's kind of the main reason why they're doing this parallel is I mean, I don't know. I don't know why they're doing this parallel, but I mean, I think it is worth What is Neo? What differentiates Neo from Superman? They're both very nice. They both have alter egos. They both have love interests that they care for. They both have like arch nemeses that are kind of weird, fucked up tech guys. I guess I don't know. I don't know if Luthor is a tech guy or a businessman, but I think there's definitely a lot of ways you can contrast them. But like, I mean, maybe just the main thing is that Neo lives in a virtual world and Superman lives in the real world, and that is kind of the Matrix's whole conceit is like, trying to bring the virtual into the real, and blurring those lines. Whereas Superman has never had a question about like what is real. Superman, especially if we're thinking about the most recent Superman, the 2025 one with David Cornsweet, like he.
And I'm always thinking about it.
Mm-hmm, right. His philosophy is like very simple. Is like, I don't want people to die. Right.
Correct.
There's none of these pretensions that the Matrix has, especially in the middle of this movie where the Oracle's just like, what is choice? And the Architect's like, oh, choice is an illusion, right? Superman's just like, I just don't want people to die. And whatever prevents the most people from dying, I'm going to do that. I think Superman is a much more straightforward version. And that's kind of, at least to me, his appeal is just like he is simply cares about people. Oh, you're making a face.
So that's an interesting thing you're stumbling onto right now. What is Neo's philosophy? Does Neo have a philosophy?
I mean, I think that's what this movie is about. I mean, I think this movie is about like why does it matter that you're the one, Neo? Because it turns out, spoilers for this movie, he is one of 6 ones.
But that's the thing. That's the movie's philosophy. Does Neo have a philosophy?
Well, what is the difference between the movies and Neo's philosophy that you're positing?
Well, the movie as a whole is a story in which it's the context in which
Right.
Neo's philosophy would, in theory, exist. Neo's philosophy would drive his actions. Is there anything driving his actions other than I am being told I am the one?
I mean, I think you could argue that it's his compassion for Trinity that is his biggest motivating, drive here. Now,
One could argue that.
We'll talk about that.
One could argue that. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think Neo does feel very much like he's like, I'm doing this because I'm told to, and I have these powers, and I will help people because I can. But like, I think he is still, if he has a philosophy, it's not really well articulated beyond like, I'm the guy who can do this, so I should do this. Right. I don't think he takes any joy or, puts any gravity in his responsibility as a hero in the same way that Superman does.
Right. Okay. Well, that's actually a really good segue, I think, into the second bullet point. So next chunk of film is Oracle sends Neo a message. She tells him he has. The Oracle sends Neo a message, and she tells him he has to rescue the Keymaker in order to get into the door to the source of the Matrix. After being helped by the
Merovingian.
The Merovingian, thank you. Who is a rogue program who is also French. Serves cunt. Love him. Right, so the Keymaker is being held by the Merovingian, who's a rogue program, who is also French. He serves cunt. We love him. After being helped by the Merovingian's wife, Persephone, Neo, Morpheus, and Trinity free the Keymaker, but are pursued onto the highway by the Keymaker's ghost bodyguards, as well as several agents. It's a sick action sequence, very Fast Five. Neo ends up saving the day in the end, and the Keymaker tells them how to get to the source. So again, this whole action sequence, right, is like, okay, so he figures out he has to go to the source because he's being told he has to go to the source. Mm-hmm. Why he is driven to go to the source, I'm not sure. I actually don't know how Neo feels about the Matrix.
I'm gonna pull up the script and see if we can read through his conversation with the Oracle to see if that gives us any like motivation for him. Are you saying, Neo, are you saying I have to choose whether Trinity lives or dies? The Oracle, no. You've already made the choice. Now you have to understand it. Neo, no, I can't do that. I won't. The Oracle, you have to. Neo, why? Because you're the one. That's kind of it. Oh. That's kind of his whole movie. Then 100 million Smiths come and kick his ass. I kind of skipped over that and that. And we can talk about the Burly Brawl. It didn't seem like it clicked with you. But I think its design, the way it was designed and shot, is really fascinating. But as a set piece, it's just kind of interesting, but not thematically relevant.
Well, that's what I mean. The cadence of this movie is so weird because it's like these confusing pseudo-philosophical dialogues that are the Wachowskis clearly working through something. I don't know what it says that these 2 trans women pre-transitioning were obsessed with the concept of choice. I'm sure that's worth digging into by people who are smarter than maybe me. But they are obsessed with the concept of choice. And so we have these like weird conversations between these rogue programs usually, and then Neo. And then there's no like real reaction from Neo to any of it. Like there's no emotional reaction to it. Just like, and then you go to a set piece that is arguably in every instance 2 minutes too long.
Yeah, I mean, I do think maybe the pacing could have been done a little bit better, but I am very partial to the spectacle of action scenes. I'll link some stuff in the show notes about how they made this. But everything about the way that those 2 sequences were designed is remarkable. So like, even if they don't necessarily work, if they are weirdly paced, I still have to give it up. I think they're great. But yeah, I mean, it is weird, right? Like this conversation about choice, it comes down to like they want to get to the source because they want to free all the humans from the Matrix, ostensibly, right? In reality, that's not the actual reason. It's sending Neo back, as the architect explains, because he's got to go back and remake Zion, right? He's going to choose like 26 men and 18 women or fucking whatever. He gives this like incredible screed that we'll talk about, but like there's the reason that Neo is being sent back to the source is just to restart the experiment, to begin the seventh Matrix, and like. It is strange that Neo is just kind of being pushed forward all this time, by other people telling him that he's a special boy. And I do think that kind of hurts him as a character, right? It's like he is, the plot is kind of moving him. And this is a conversation that happens. I mean, I think especially around this time period, or at least, that's when I became aware of it, is this difference between character-driven plots and plot-driven characters, right? This is more a thing in books, I feel, but like there's definitely a dichotomy between like whether or not your character is actively driving the story. And in the Matrix, it does seem like the Wachowskis had this great idea for all this stuff, and Neo is kind of just part of that. And maybe you could have a conversation about choice and how narrative is a seizure of choice, right? The author is seizing control of the characters, although I think that's kind of a fucking navel-gazing conversation to have, but
yeah. What I am being reminded of right now is BioShock, because you're going to talk about a character feeling very effectively robbed of agency. It's for people who haven't played BioShock, you have this kind of like, and also spoilers for, a 20-year-old game, but for you play through the entire game, you are navigating this city that is kind of in ruin, and you are constantly in contact via radio with this like Irish man, and every time he asks you to do something, you kind of don't notice it because it just sounds like a thing that he says. He's just, oh, would you kindly do this? Would you kindly do that? Would you kindly do that? And then you get the reveal at the end that would you kindly is your kind of like trigger phrase. If he says, would you kindly, you have to do it. And the thing about having a linear interactive narrative is that you are going to do it because you have no other choice via the structure of the narrative. Like, you are compelled to do it because that is the thing you are compelled to do. I also think about games like Elden Ring, right? If you talk about motivation, the whole thing behind the Tarnished is that they all are vying for Elden Lord. That is the linear progression of the game. That is the thing you are meta-narratively told you are doing. Like, you are vying for Elden Lord. Doesn't matter what you do in the game. You are compelled to do it, ergo you do it. And so I think those are, like, examples of an effective exploration of choice and compulsion and being kind of, like, pulled to a cause. I don't know if The Matrix Reloaded does that effectively so much as it passes Neo around like a baton. Yeah. A cute baton. An adorable baton. I love to look at Keanu Reeves in his 30s.
I am going to link in the show notes, and I'll send this to you, Leyla, an article written by Ed Smith called "It Doesn't Matter When You Kill All the Civilians." And that is about this conversation in games specifically, about like the games admonishing you for making kind of fucked up choices. It's of course talking about Spec Ops: The Line, but also it talks about BioShock. I think this is like the definitive like conversation about, oh, isn't it fucked up when you make the choice to do something in a video game? And the answer is no, because it's a video game and like you wrote it that way. So like that's kind of where I come down on like the conversation in gaming. But yeah, I think narratively, Neo is not being used, or it's I don't know. I guess the question is like, does it make the Matrix weaker that Neo doesn't have a strong motivation?
I think it makes the Matrix weaker that in a story in which Neo is the one, and in which he was meta-narratively set up to not be the one until he pushes himself to become the one, I think it is a missed opportunity to not reckon with whether or not his motivation intrinsically aligns with the mission he is given, or if there's a tension in how he feels about his mission, and then whether or not he completes it that is effectively explored.
Yeah, I'm thinking about how like I think there's an entire other way to read The Matrix and not The Matrix Reloaded, of being like, was Neo always going to be the one? Maybe. Or maybe he wasn't until he decided to be, like you said, right? Like, there is no spoon, right? You can definitely have that take that, like, you just kind of have to choose to be the one. I think that's a great read on it. If you're going to make a character so central, shouldn't they drive the plot? Doesn't it? Especially if choice is this big conversation, right? Ultimately, his choice to save Trinity is the thing that, like, propels the story through to the end. I think
until they want to propel the story.
That's what happens in the story. Whether they do it effectively or not is a completely different conversation. Especially, I think there's a bit with Persephone, the Merovingian's wife, where she is like, "Hey, I'll give you the keymaker, but first you have to kiss me like you love me." And, like, listen, I know that 2 women wrote this, and also, like, what are we doing here? This is it's real dumb. It feels like it's out of like I don't know, like a video game written in 2000. I mean, I guess that, right, it's just kind of the era, right? This is like a Spike TV ass thing to do.
Yeah. That scene would have worked so much better for me if Trinity did not immediately raise her hackles and play like the like comically jealous girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like, it just felt I keep going back to that conversation we had about Gale in The Hunger Games, where I'm like, baby boy, you look 25. I need you to think about the stakes, and I need you to think about the appropriateness of your reaction to the stakes, right? And it's kind of how I felt watching Trinity. I was like, girl, you need that keymaker. I'm going to need you to just relax. You don't need to point a gun at her. He's going to kiss her and it's done. Like, right. Okay. And I think that scene would have been scene would have played way better for me if they had staged it differently, because the way it works is Neo and Trinity and Morpheus are like standing in kind of a triangle in one end of the room, and Persephone's on the other end of the room. I think it would have worked a little bit better. It's still goof shit. I'm just working with what I got. If she had kind of circled around Neo like a shark and ended up between him and Morpheus and Trinity, and then done the kiss me thing. Neo looks at Trinity. She doesn't react because she's all business, baby. And then when he is kissing Persephone, he is looking past her at Trinity. I think that would have still been horseshit, but it would have worked better, because the jealousy in that scene is such an unnecessary 2008 ass beat. Like, and I think that's part of the reason the Trinity romance doesn't work for me, because it feels like Trinity lost herself in Neo, and Neo is a nothing burger.
Yeah, I think Trinity is comically underdeveloped. Like, her motivation has been and will remain to be, I am in love with the one who is Neo, so I'm going to be in love with you. She doesn't really have motivations outside of that. I mean, maybe that's just true of every character in the Matrix, right? There is only the struggle, there is only the fight against the machines, and then there is only the one, right? Even Link and... I mean, I think that means that, I guess what I'm trying to say is, Link and Z, even though their conflict revolves around the crew of the Nebuchadnezzar, Z being like, my brothers are dead because of that ship, Morpheus is crazy, they feel a little bit more real and grounded because they are having like a real ass conversation. It's much more related to like what a real, domestic, drama would be. Like, hey, my brothers are dead. Their boss is an insane person who believes that Jesus is in his crew, and Link is like, yes, baby, that's correct. And also, I gotta stick with them. Like, that's at least interesting. I don't know if you find, but I think you found their romance a little bit more compelling than Neo and Trinity's.
Yeah, night and day. I got like 5 minutes of Link and Z. Well, it helps that Z is maybe the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. But so is Carrie-Anne Moss, though. Carrie-Anne Moss is also gorgeous. But it's one of those things where I spent 5 minutes with Link and Z Which, hold on. When Link comes home... Now, Aaron, you're married.
I am.
Have you ever walked in and been like, where's my pussy?
I am married to an award-winning feminist scholar and marriage and family therapist. So I don't think my marriage would survive that. I don't think that I would survive that, frankly.
I would help her hide your body. Yeah, insane way to enter a room. But so, Z has some very real concerns about Link operating the Nebuchadnezzar. And, I just found their domestic drama, like, way more compelling than, Trinity being like, as you said, I am in love with the one, that is my thing. And I just don't find, when everyone's motivation is the one, but the one has no personal philosophy other than the function that is projected onto him, it's just not compelling. It doesn't sing to me.
I agree. I think that's true. Should we maybe do the end of the
We should finish. Yeah, we should finish. Listen. Listen.
This is all part of the
format change. We're exploring. We're figuring it out. We're vibing. We'll get there. You can blame it all on me being sick. It's fine. When Neo finally gets to the source, he meets the architect of the Matrix. It reveals that this is actually the 6th Matrix, as Aaron mentioned earlier. Neo's job is to allow people to have a chance to feel like they can quote-unquote choose whether or not to escape their mind prison. He is given a choice to allow Zion to be destroyed and start over, preserving the majority of humanity that already exists trapped in the Matrix, or to go save Trinity from being killed by agents, which will also kill all of humanity, including the folks in Zion. Neo goes and saves Trinity anyway, resurrecting her from her fatal gunshot wound. And then when Neo, Morpheus, and Trinity return to the real world, they are nearly killed by the machines. But Neo manages to psychically stop the machines IRL, because his one powers translate out of Code Lyoko and into the real world. This causes him to pass out, and the movie is left to be continued.
Yeah. That it sure is.
Yeah. Alita has her powers outside of Lyoko. It's crazy.
Is that true of Code Lyoko?
I can't remember, but that's what I'm, that's the beat I'm thinking of.
I would believe that to be true. I would believe that Alita could do that.
That was a season 1 for us.
Yes, that was.
I think.
Yeah, 1 or 2. It was very early.
Yeah, good show.
Yeah, this is a great podcast. You're all blessed to listen to this. I also just can't believe I didn't get to Code Lyoko earlier when I think about the Matrix, because it's exactly the same thing. It's kids going into a virtual world and getting like digital avatars to fight little monsters. Like that's God, the Matrix. This Code Lyoko is actually pretty contemporary with the Matrix if you think about it. Like that was like what, 2004, 2006? Holy shit.
5 or 6, somewhere in there.
God. Anyway,
Toonami ass years.
I do think I would rather watch more Code Lyoko than watch the last 2 movies. Here's the thing. There's a lot of real dumb shit here in the end of Matrix Reloaded. I think that it's hard to not see this movie as just like a vehicle for action sequences. It's hard. I know there's a bunch of right. Like I think there's so much more between this movie and the Fast and Furious series, as you mentioned earlier, than say this movie and like any sort of like psychological or like metaphysical drama, right? Like there's stuff going on, but they built a highway. They built a highway and then they drove cars on it. They hired 100 people to drive cars on that highway. And then they did a fucking fight sequence where Lawrence Fishburne has a katana on top of a semi. And that sequence goes on for 17 minutes. Like, they didn't care about the rest of the movie as much as they cared about that shit.
14 minutes and 8 seconds, if you'll recall. I did do precise math.
Okay, thank you.
Between... Because I needed to know, because Neo flew from the mountains to pick up Lawrence Fishburne from top of that semi as it was exploding. Okay, I needed to know the speed. And for the audience, he makes it 500 miles to be the first one at his door in 14 minutes and 8 seconds. So he was flying 35.377 miles per minute, or 22.5 miles per hour. A Boeing 747 has a cruising speed of 660 miles per hour, and an F-15 can reach 1,875 miles per hour, which is over Mach 5, Mach 2.5. So this man was going nearly Mach 3 by himself in that Matrix.
Which mountain range did you put him at?
He said 500 miles.
Oh, okay. He said 500 miles. Well, there you go.
Yeah, Link said 500 miles.
I wonder which mountain range is 500 miles from, I guess, New York City highway system. I guess it doesn't matter. But...
Oh, Catskills maybe. No, Catskills are like 300.
That's close enough. I'd say it's close enough, but
there's plenty of mountains cutting through Pennsylvania and New York and stuff.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
Thank you for your math.
You're welcome. I just needed to know.
Yes, and you're right to need to know.
And I did. Thank you.
Like, I know that they shot this movie at the same time as The Matrix. I want to say Revolutions is the final one.
Sure.
So I know that they were working on it at the same time, so I'm sure those constraints cut into the quality of this movie, but I think the ending is so hard to swallow, both in a plausibility sense and just like as an audience member. I was like, wait, I vaguely remember him having psychic powers here at the end, and then he does it. It's like, okay, kind of taking the legs out of the entire premise of the Matrix by doing that. Like, I really wish they hadn't brought Neo into the real world, right? Like that, him being special. Right, you point this out in your notes, right? That like if Neo is special only in the Matrix, but outside he's just like a regular guy, that makes him more interesting.
And what a vehicle! If you want to keep all of the Matrix Reloaded the same, right? He's being passed around like a baton from person to person. What an interesting... The Nebuchadnezzar is destroyed. What an interesting moment to see just like Neo reckon. And in the beginning of the movie, right, we see him walking around Zion in the real world, and like everybody's like, just like Jesus, right? Everyone's coming to give him offerings, to offer him prayers, to ask him to protect people, right, in the Matrix still, and do all this stuff. What an interesting moment for him to be like, oh, I have been avoiding the question of why I'm doing this the whole time. I am invincible in the Matrix, but I am so vincible here. I am just a meat in Zion. Am I willing to put my money where my mouth is and put my body in front of these people and really take an actual risk? Right? What an interesting thing that would be. But no, he puts his hands up. He fries the fucking...
Yeah. It's... He goes Mewtwo on their asses, which, listen, I love Mewtwo. Don't get me wrong. It is very frustrating to avoid all of those like thematic and narrative possibilities, and instead be like, well, he was in the Matrix, so now he could do telekinesis to the machines, but it makes his nose bleed or whatever. Like,
yeah.
I mean, maybe Revolutions will do something interesting with that, but I sincerely doubt it. I remember disliking that movie quite a lot, unfortunately.
Maybe we watch it together. I think we'll have more fun.
We should try to do that. Yeah, I mean, yeah. We'll
we usually have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sure fucking do. Stay safe, everybody. Can we talk about how I am in the Wachowski's brain?
Yeah, you called several plot beats. You called it the Superman thing right before Link said Neo's just doing his Superman thing, flying around, and then it was the Trinity. It was the Trinity thing, right? Do you want to explain this? Because we kind of crossed over.
Yeah. So Trinity does die. Is the thing, and Neo takes her to a rooftop. It's confusing where they are. It doesn't matter. Takes her to a rooftop.
She is falling off of a building. He flies and catches her like Superman, and then they fly to the top of a roof.
Yeah, I did like the tornado of cars behind him.
That was great.
I thought that was nice.
Yes.
Yeah, he doesn't care who else dies. Just not Trinity.
Right.
And now all those people that died in that accident, they can turn into goo to feed the babies. A plop eat I will never let go. Ever. Wachowskis. Anyway, so he picks up Trinity and he takes her to I don't know, like the edge of a roof. They were trying to set up a parallel visually to when they were fucking earlier, because it was the same shot of just like them in profile. So, but instead of their heads being frame left, now their heads are frame right in a reversal, because you have the little death of the orgasm in the sex scene and now you have real death. Fucking, this happens in Arcane too. People love to contrast death and orgasms. It's very interesting. But anyway, he makes his hands goo, matrix goo, and then he scoops the bullet out of her. And as he's doing that, and she's flatlining, right, in the ship, I'm typing in my notes contemporaneously. Actually, I'll find the quote, because I was kind of annoyed at this point. "Get your mitt in there and pump her heart manually, bitch boy. You just got the bullet out of there. What is stopping you?" You wouldn't believe what happened as soon as I hit enter on that sentence. He got his mitt in there. He started pumping her heart manually. Wachowskis, I'm in your brains.
Yeah, you crushed it. And I mean,
I crushed it.
I think that also speaks to the fact that, like, they are competent filmmakers sometimes. Like, I think there's a great parallel. Like you said, the sex stuff is fine, but you know, you can read those parallels, right? They've been set up. The heart pumping thing is a parallel, arguably, to Neo being able to read the code and like being able to manipulate the Matrix and realizing, this doesn't matter, right? Like, you know, that stuff is pretty well established. It's not a surprise when the Neo can do that, but it's like, oh yeah, that's how he's gonna save Trinity. Sure, fucking whatever. And then you get the telepathic squid concussion, and it's like, well, I don't know, right? Like sometimes you don't bat 1,000, right?
Right. Man, how much more would their... Because, again, I don't find their romance compelling whatsoever. How much more compelling would their romance have been if they ran around the Matrix, like, kind of knowing they were invincible, right? Maybe his nightmares are about her dying in Zion instead. But, like, in the Matrix, they're invincible. And as soon as they're you know, they're in there, they're whatever, they're just doing their superhero action shit. How much more compelling would it have been if he did not retain his powers outside of the Matrix, and then had to reckon with not only his own motivations for putting his body on the line for the Matrix, for the people in the Matrix, but the fact that he can't save Trinity if something happens to her now.
Right. That would be
Wachowskis.
Way better.
Wachowskis, call me. I see what you want to be doing. I see you. I love fucking the Matrix. We're not going to talk about Reloaded and what I assume I will think of Revolutions. I fucking love Jupiter Ascending. Call me. I will script doctor for you. I will punch it up. I see your vision. I see your vision. Help me help you execute.
Yeah, I do wonder if like they learned lessons from the Matrix and started to focus down on, you know, the pastiche that they're trying to accomplish. Because like at the end of the day, I think the Matrix is an action movie.
I agree. And I think the reason I'm so annoyed with Revolutions is because the Matrix is actually not that much an action movie, whether it's because Keanu hurt his neck or because the budget just wasn't there or whatever. It has like kind of a thing it's trying to explore, and it's still campy and it's still got a pastiche, but like it's more thematic. There's like things happening, and then the sequels are action movies, and that's totally incoherent to me.
Sure.
I think that's the issue. But Jupiter Ascending, girls, you want to put not Chad Michael Murray. Why do I always get them confused? Channing Tatum.
Channing,
you want to put
CH.
It's just, and they look similar. They really do. They're just kind of like massively appealing white dudes. You know, I'm a Channing Tatum stan. I love a Channing Tatum. But anyway, Channing Tatum, you want to make him a winged wolf boy on rollerblades? I'm in. You're telling me that the bees know Mila Kunis is royalty? I'm fucking in. You want to make Eddie Redmayne do whatever the fuck Eddie Redmayne was doing in that movie? I'm in. But like, We got to pick a tone. Are we doing themes or are we just doing action? What are we doing? I just, we got to pick one or the other because doing both is not working.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, now I was just thinking about Jupiter Ascending. What a fucking movie.
That movie was more fun, unfortunately. That was great. Shout out to Mila Kunis.
Because there's one of them. That's the thing. Not everything has to be a franchise.
Oh, not everything has to be a franchise. The Mortified subheading. Yeah.
Mortified, the just make one of it quest.
Listen, that has been, I think that's highly underrated. Sometimes you can make one good thing instead of 3 okay things.
Unless you're making seasons of a podcast. In which case...
listen, there's no
Infinite.
just okay seasons of Mortified. These are all
That's
bangers.
Yes.
Do you have any thoughts on why they just introduced vampires and werewolves into the Matrix?
A thematic exploration for Jupiter Ascending.
Fair enough. That guy
else?
who got away, he is Channing Tatum's great grandpa.
It's, you know what? It felt... The vampires and werewolves in this movie made more sense to me than they do in The Elder Scrolls.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I guess I've never just been in a universe where there's dwarves and vampires.
Huh.
So, when I played Skyrim and I was like, there's vampires here? Weirded me out. Too much going on.
I guess that's a longer conversation about the history of role-playing games, I think. But yeah, that's fair.
Is there a Matrix role-playing game?
Oh, we're about to find out.
There's a Cyberpunk one.
Matrix.
And
tabletop.
if there's not a Cyberpunk one, I do wonder if you can retool or a Matrix.
One of the Cyberpunk originated as a role-playing game.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm like, I wonder if you could retool the rule set to do Matrix shit if there's not a Matrix one.
Okay, a lot of people on Reddit posting that fan-made. Okay, this is Rip to Dicebreaker, but fan-made Matrix RPG lets you dodge bullets. This is John Stansel's The Matrix RPG, which is, I guess, free. Holy shit. This looks neat. Huh. Yeah, listen, there's plenty of, there's no official Matrix RPGs, but there's plenty of hacks and stuff. Plenty of fan-made shit. So that's fun. That's cool. I like that.
Missed opportunity, Wachowskis.
I mean, listen, I think I respect them more for just being like, y'all could just go hog wild. I don't care. There's plenty of decent, RPGs that are, licensed, but sometimes it's best to let the fans go crazy.
That's true. Yeah. It was a movie. We watched it.
We sure watched it. They did so much work for the Burly Brawl and for the highway sequence and all the stuff they did. Like they hired like a ton of extras that look exactly, or not exactly like, but pretty close to Hugo Weaving. Like, and it was hilarious to watch the documentary where it's a bunch of dudes who look like Hugo Weaving show up and meet Hugo Weaving. He was like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" It's just, they did so much interesting stuff. They did like digital face scanning technology to CGI a lot of those guys, especially the parts where it's like hundreds of them coming at him. There's so much interesting stuff going on in those sequences, and at the same time, I do think they struggle, right? Like at a certain point, I think it's cool when Neo gets the little staff and he does kung fu shit on them. But at a certain point, he is like running on top of like a wall of Smiths, and it's like, all right, this is just silly now. It was all fine.
I want the Wachowskis to get silly. I think they're at their best when they're getting silly with it.
I guess that's true because all the action sequences stuff is pretty over the top and exciting and kind of goofy, right? Neo flies in at 500 or Mach 2.5 and, snags Morpheus and the Keymaker, and neither of them have their bones turned to jello. That's fun. But then when you get the architect scene, I think the architect has one great line, which is like, "We have destroyed Zion 6 times and we've become exceedingly good at it." I think that rips. But like the whole rest of his his dialogue at the end, like, it's not that complicated to understand, but it does feel hurried. It does feel like he's just unloading on the audience in a way that, you know, he's delivering this very serious and, you know, like, not thematically, but narratively important, you know, messaging to Neo and therefore the audience. And it does just feel like, okay, it just feels like they're hitting you with the sledgehammer here at the end when this should just be like a slam dunk.
Right. This is honestly, so we had a conversation last episode where we talked about the casting for Neo. I think this movie would have benefited from a Will Smith.
That's true. This is much more like aligned with like a Hancock than The Matrix, I feel.
Also, Will Smith cannot hide a reaction to save his life, right? Like, his whole performance is that you can read his face and he is reacting constantly. I think you could have gotten a lot of unspoken motivation from Neo and a lot of reaction in Will Smith, whereas Keanu does just look kind of lost the whole time.
Yeah. And I mean, that's part of Keanu's charm, but at the same time, it would have helped to see a little bit more than blankness in this character, just to give us something.
Yeah. Give me something to chew on, you know?
Yeah. Okay. One last thing from our talking points. So at one point, Neo does go up into the sky above the clouds, because he's flying, and he sees the moon, which begs the question: how much of the Matrix did they simulate? How much did they render? Does the moon have actual gravity? Because it seems like it probably does. Does space exist in the Matrix? Does the sun exist in the Matrix? What if they actually mathed out?
That's a great question. Because, well, in video games, a lot of times if you're on the ground, the sun, it'll be a skybox, right? It'll be a skybox, not really rendered. There could be objects in the skybox. A lot of times there's a matte painting in the skybox. If you really look at video game clouds, a lot of times they're painted. Those clouds are pretty real to me, and Neo could go through them. So, like, what is there? Do we think there's just like a no-go invisible wall so that he could?
I would love to watch the outtake for the Matrix where he just bounces off the skybox and falls to Earth like a shooting star.
Honestly, yeah. I would have loved to see that. Would have been so fucking funny. I would love to see Neo practicing his Superman thing and like, cause his moves do look rehearsed. You know what I mean? Like, he's got some poses. He knows he's gotta serve. And so I would love to see Neo just like fucking around in the mountains in Pennsylvania or wherever, and just like seeing where the invisible wall is. Just, if he could like do some real like GDQ speed run strats, you know, glitchless runs through the world.
Yeah.
Can he no clip through this mountain?
God. So I don't know if you know this, but there's also a fourth Matrix movie that came out in 2021. They revisited it. I don't know that we need to watch it. It seems I watched it. I don't remember basically anything from it except that Keanu and Carrie-Anne Moss look great.
Naturally. Keanu aged like a fine wine. So
yeah, he doesn't look like he gained more than like 5 years in that like 25-year time period. But you know, shout outs to Keanu. But yeah, I would have loved them because Keanu, you know, spoiler, he becomes a video game developer. And like I would have loved for there to be more allusions to like video game culture in that fourth Matrix movie.
I would love Keanu to be struggling with the limits of Unreal Engine. Being like, well, the Matrix rendered the moon.
Mm-hmm. So why can't your piece of shit software do it?
Why? What do you mean it's not performant for me to render the moon?
Mm-hmm.
What if my moon has 1,000, you know, a million polys or whatever?
Mr. Anderson, we tried to compile your code and it was 2 terabytes. No one's gonna be able to run this shit.
I would love to see that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, I don't know. Let's.
I mean, I think it's appropriate for this podcast to end anticlimactically.
Takes out then. Do it. Leave them wanting more.
Leyla, when we are not disappointing our audience, where can we be found on the internet?
You can find me at LEYLSES on Tumblr and on Blue Sky. Continuing my trend from last week where I have nothing of my own to promote. Fallout Season 2 is pretty good. We're watching it in our group chat. I'm watching it with our friend of the show, Marty. Pretty good.
Yeah, have a good
Aaron,
time.
what about you? Yeah.
You can find me on Blue Sky at AAVoit, Tumblr at Monster Factory Fanfic, and YouTube.com/AAVoit, where I make videos about tabletop games. Our theme song is Obsolete by Keshko from the album Filmmakers Reference Kit Volume 2. You can find more of their music at keshko.bandcamp.com. Leyla, how shall we say goodbye to The Matrix Reloaded?
Neo, if you're out there, we could use some help.
That's certainly correct. We'll see you all next time.